This was insane to witness as Pittsburgh Penguins fans got to see something they never thought they'd see ever again tonight, and that is Marc-Andre Fleury. And not just his performance in this game, but this has major implications on the future of this franchise. And we're going to break it all down in this episode of Penguins Digest, and what a treat Penguins fans got to watch tonight with the return of Marc-Andre Fleury. We're going to break that all down, but before we do that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 68% of you who watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening with your Pittsburgh Penguins, go down below and hit that free subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything that's happening with the Penguins as the regular season creeps closer and closer to starting. And shout out to Nick on the channel for holding it down through the summer months, and obviously he's going to be giving you guys updates through the winter as well as the regular season comes. But let's dive right into it, Mark. This was a feel-good story tonight. Marc-Andre Fleury returned to being a Pittsburgh Penguin, something that no Penguins fan, nobody in the NHL, no hockey fan actually thought would happen in this way. I think we all thought that he was going to sign maybe a one-day contract to retire a Pittsburgh Penguin, but this was super special. He gets into one last game. He gets to hug it out with Sidney Crosby, Evgeni Malkin, Kris Letang. I mean, look at this after the final buzzer. On top of that, the Penguins won. Of course, he only played one period, but what did you make of all of this? And I have to say, is there any, thoughts creeping into the back of his head, do you think, about returning for one last year in the NHL as a Pittsburgh Penguin? Because let's be honest, I think they could use him, and I think that would be a very cool feel-good story for this group this year.
And I mean, the biggest thing is he's a huge upgrade on Tristan Jarry. Jokes aside, Math coming back was incredible. If you're a fan of the Penguins, if you're a fan of any other team, seeing this icon back in pads for what could be the last time was just a historic moment. It felt good. It's a story ending, but the big thing is maybe there's a chapter 2. We've seen the reports coming through that maybe teams are going to call on Fleury. Maybe there's teams that's going to look back. And if any team is going to sign him, I think the Pittsburgh Penguins would look at him and say, hey, listen, why don't you come out of retirement, play your final year here? We could use you. There's a lot of young guys in the system. Artur Shilov's coming over from the Vancouver Canucks, a perfect piece that Fleury could kind of pick his brain, help him develop. But overall, seeing him come in, stopping all 8 shots, going into the shootout, getting a 4-1 win, Darius, this is one of those things that's going to go down in the history books when you're watching television, showing the greatest moments. Seeing this is going to be an awesome story to see for the years to come.
Absolutely. And I know a lot of people might look at it and be like, no, listen, he's going to retire. He said he's going to retire. But one thing that I think is very interesting to me, Mark, is, he said he was going to retire. He's done, right? And he retired. The season ended last year. And he said, that's it for me. But then he went off to the World Hockey Championships. He wanted to play with Sidney Crosby. He did that. And then now he took this opportunity as well to get into a game. And I know he's probably still in great shape. You don't lose that right away, of course. And I'm sure that, he wants to stay in shape and all of that stuff. But, I think it's interesting that he took this opportunity. And I wonder if, the feeling that he had and the feeling from the fan base after tonight is going to start to creep into the back of his head. And maybe he goes, hey, maybe I want to give it one more shot. Maybe I want to stay in the NHL for one more year. I think that's going to be interesting to watch. And like you said, there's been numerous reports already that some teams are going to start calling, not even just now, but around January too. There's going to be a lot of teams that are going to come calling around the Olympic break or closer to the Olympic break. So that's going to be interesting to monitor. The fans were chanting one more year tonight, all the fans in the building. There was a lot made out of how packed the building was tonight for a preseason game. And of course, we know everything that's going on with, the potential ownership change and the fact that the team hasn't been good the last couple of years, and Penguins fans want something to rally behind. And of course, you get something like that tonight, and that was really cool to see. So shout out to all the fans that showed up to the building and all the fans watching on TV tonight. Pretty cool moment from the Columbus Blue Jackets as well to send them off. Ultimate sign of respect as well. So that was pretty cool. Luca Del Bel-Belouz also said he felt really bad for scoring on him in the shootout, which is pretty funny. So nice little move there from Del Bel-Belouz. I'll give him credit there. But, on being a Penguin, and I want to get into some stuff here on the sentimental side and what it meant for the fan base and for the player himself. And he said it just feels like it went by too quickly. Winning together builds strong relationships. He's obviously very close with a lot of the guys still there, including Bryan Rust, for example, obviously Sidney Crosby, Kris Letang, Evgeni Malkin. But Bryan Rust went on to say that Flower is a person who is so revered in this organization, in this city. I don't necessarily think he wants the attention, but I know he appreciates it We appreciate him. And not only that, Marc-Andre Fleury went on to say that, being a Pittsburgh Penguin was some of the best years of his life. And this is a guy that, when he left the Pittsburgh Penguins, went straight to a Stanley Cup final, his third straight, obviously did not win that one, but I thought that was pretty telling too. So some great words from Marc-Andre Fleury. So any other thoughts on that, Mark? Because again, we can speculate all we want. He is officially retired at this point, but I think it is pretty interesting that he got one last shot here. I do wonder if the gears start turning in his head a little bit and he's like, maybe I do want to return. Maybe it is with the Penguins. That could be very interesting. But just overall, a feel-good story tonight in the NHL for Penguins fans. And you don't even have to be a Penguins fan. This was an awesome moment to look back on a guy that, at least when I was growing up too, watching him, one of my favorite goaltenders. So this was an awesome moment to see him return to the organization.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, and you hit it perfectly when you said that maybe the sentimental value is what's going to draw his attention. He goes back to Pittsburgh for the first time in years. He gets to play with Sidney Crosby for the second time in the calendar year because we've seen it at the World Championship. So maybe he's looking at this after summer of not playing hockey and is officially retired, that maybe he looks at this and says, hey, I don't want to hang him up yet. I like being around the guys. I want to work on it. I understand he lives in Minnesota. He had a great stint in Minnesota as well, but maybe this is the type of thing the Penguins need. I know Crosby's future is up in the air. We don't know if Evgeni Malkin's going to come back, but maybe we see this team really rally ahead of a guy like Marc-Andre Fleury to the point maybe they make the postseason. Listen, call me crazy. Maybe it's my sentimental feelings coming out, but I do think there is a world that Marc-Andre Fleury at some point, if they trade on from Tristan Jarry, if someone like Shilovs or Bloomquist is not ready, maybe they give Fleury a call and saying, hey, why don't you play half the season? We'll give you X amount of money. You get to play in front of the fans. There's no pressure, but if you make the playoffs, that's an even better story for the storybooks.
Absolutely. And there are people out there that are predicting the Penguins to hang around the playoff picture this year. I have seen that out there. So that's going to be very interesting to see. And like you mentioned, Evgeni Malkin, he had a video message. He said, you're always black and gold, just like Tanger, just like me, just like Sid. And I think that's another thing that Penguins fans can rally behind. Again, we can talk about, the potential of Marc-Andre Fleury joining the team. And I brought it up earlier in the video that it would be cool if he played one more year and all that stuff. But just to, look back on his body of work as a Pittsburgh Penguin and what, a lot of the other guys are saying about him is pretty special. And like Rob says here, there's never any pretense with the Penguins big three. It's always that they live and breathe this franchise. They love being here. And of course, Marc-Andre Fleury, I wanted to mention it before we wrap up here, always with the pranks. And he took an opportunity today too at Sidney Crosby's car, which was pretty cool to see. So some interesting stuff there. Is he going to make a return to the NHL? I would say it's very unlikely. I think he is going to retire, even though he did do a couple cool things like the World Hockey Championships, like this preseason game. We'll see what the future holds. You can never say never, right? You never say never in pro sports and sports in general and entertainment, but pretty cool story nonetheless. So let us know how you feel about what happened tonight in the comments below. Pretty cool moment for Penguins fans, for Marc-Andre Fleury, and you never know what the future holds. Maybe we'll see Marc-Andre Fleury in the NHL for one last season. Let us know how you feel in the comments, and if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything Pittsburgh Penguins.